I think war is one of those things. People do it. Countries do it too nonchalantly.
Yeah.
You know, they just whatever. We want more territory. Whatever. We're religious extremists and we want to convert people.
Oil.
Oil, natural resources, et cetera, et cetera. I've said for a long time, I think what we need is a constitutional amendment that basically says we only fight defensive wars. Mm-hmm. That only if there's an imminent threat of attack against the nation can you fight. And by that standard, I think maybe the only intervention we would have done, the most recent intervention we would have done, would have been World War II. Because Hitler declared war on the U.S., okay, so you have to defend the nation, right? But also, there was such clear evidence. He basically took over all of Europe. People don't realize that. He was fairly successful in taking over all of Europe. All of France was gone. All of Poland was gone. All of Czechoslovakia was gone. He got all the way to Russia. He got all the way to Stalingrad in Russia. He conquered that entire territory. So there was an argument to be made at the time, and they did make this argument. This isn't even about like going to protect Britain or going to protect France or whatever. This was about the world is going to fall to Nazi fucking Germany.
Yeah, it wouldn't make
So we had to go defend. But post that, like, okay, Vietnam. You don't need to go fight Vietnam. The argument they made was if we don't go fight in Vietnam, then Laos is going to fall to communism. Then Malaysia is going to fall to communism. Then next thing you know, it's at your doorstep in Nebraska. That's the argument they made. They're like, it's going to come, it's going to come. No, it's not going to come. Vietnam, they don't have the capability or the want to come back here. In fact, they were colonized by the French for so long. All they were doing was fighting back against colonial rule and trying to establish their own government, and they chose communism. So the idea that like we should go in there and colonize them ourselves or force them to have some sort of a capitalistic leader, it was a stupid argument, and it's clear that we weren't actually defending the nation.
Well, we have other reasons that we intervene for,
in that case, I think it really had more to do with China and Russia. We were afraid at the time of, it's the Red Scare. Communism is going to spread everywhere. That's the argument they made. So they were more afraid that China and Russia would be emboldened by that, and then there'd be this grand war throughout the world for communism. But I don't think that's true. I never bought that, because if you want to set up a communist system, okay, do it in your own country.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of these people are thinking. If you're a revolutionary in Vietnam thinking about what kind of a political system you want, are you also going, and then I can't wait to get to Iowa and do it there? You don't know the people in Iowa. You don't know their culture. You don't know their history. You know they're going to resist you if you go there. Mm-hmm. You don't have the numbers to go there. So it's this fantasy, this really absurd, scared fantasy that people have where they're like, everybody's got to think like us and act like us and have the same culture and political system.
Yeah.
Wrong. The only time we should ever fight wars is to defend the nation against imminent attack. And I get it. Like, are there some examples where there's a clear genocide going on where one side is right, one side is wrong, one side are assholes, one side are victims, and they're slaughtering people, one side is armed, one side is not? Yes, those exist. But what do you do in those scenarios? What you do is you go through NATO, you go through the UN, you use the international community, you all come together, you all come up with a comprehensive plan, so we all do it together. So it's not one nation above all the other nations, because they'll abuse that, and then they'll, end up getting natural resources and fighting for other reasons.
And stuff, and then they'll use them against us.
Like we've done so many times throughout history. So why not do it as an international community and clearly define it? Like, okay, we're 3-week-long, offensive. We get it over with, and then we're out, and you do some humanitarian aid.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. Either act internationally to stop genocides, or only send our troops to fight to defend the nation. That's it. But we've never abided by that, man.
I'm with the argument. If other countries are fighting, let them fucking
It's their
fight.
business.
It's their business. They'll figure it out.
And that's the thing, is oftentimes most situations where there's a war going on, it's not this comic book view of the world where one side is pure right, one side is pure wrong, and you have to pick a side. It's much more complicated and nuanced and complex. Like, usually both sides have a decent argument on certain points, and they're fighting for control and power and what political ideology they want, et cetera, et cetera. So in cases like that, of course we shouldn't get involved.
Yeah.
Of course.